Goemon plunged his child into the boiling water, unaliving him as quickly as possible.
No. What's good, YouTube? It's about you with a back with another banger, and today we're gonna be reacting to worst deaths in history. Now, like some of these deaths, I feel as if they could have been prevented. I think so. You feel me? Unless it's some Final Destination shit where it's just you feel me? It has to happen on some shit like that. You feel me? But other than that, there's some of these shits could have been prevented. You know, with the right help and shit. I don't know. You feel me? But that's what we're here for the reaction. You know what I'm saying? So let's get straight into the video.
Here are 5 of the worst deaths in human history. The last one
just
is
5
serious Saw type stuff.
Oh.
Number 5, boiled alive. Ishikawa Goemon
was an
outlaw
mind.
who lived in the late 1500s in feudal Japan, who rose to...
Oh, they going back in history. So this ain't no current shit. This is like some old shit where they beheaded and did all this other shit. Okay. And I've seen this type of thing going on in One Piece. You know what I'm saying? Wano arc. If you watch One Piece, you feel me? You see the room. You see the room.
Sharing his spoils with the poor. In modern times, he's become somewhat of a folk hero, being portrayed in anime, movies, and video games. So it's a little hard to tell what details about his life were real and what was made up. Some say he was originally a samurai, while others say he was actually a ninja. And while historians disagree on a lot of things, there's one thing they all agree on. His public execution, where he was boiled alive, was extremely cruel.
Isn't this what One Piece is based on? Like that Wano arc when how you say his name? Kinemon, whatever you bro, my fault, y'all, my fault. I don't know how to say his name right. But yeah, like, no, not him. Oh, I'm tripping. No, not him. I'm thinking of somebody else. I forgot his name though. But bro, you know what I'm talking about, bro. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But in One Piece, something like this happened, and yeah, is this what that dude's character is based off of? Like from the Wano arc? Like, you feel me? Like, hey, I don't know. Probably.
Cool and unusual.
If y'all hear a list, bro, it's because I have my retainers in.
Goemon lived in a Japan ruled by Hideyoshi Toyotomi, a powerful warlord called a daimyo, who would become known as one of the 3 great unifiers of Japan. Uniting a country of samurais and ninjas is a bloody business, with a lot of collateral damage. And one story goes that Goemon's wife was unalived in one of Toyotomi's conquests, which made him hungry for revenge. Another story says he just hated Toyotomi because he thought he was a dick and an unfair ruler. But whatever the reason, Goemon decided to assassinate the daimyo. On a warm summer night in 1594, Goemon snuck into Fushimi Castle, Toyotomi's newly constructed retirement palace, and made it all the way to the daimyo's sleeping quarters. As he slowly crept his way toward Toyotomi, he knocked over a bell that alerted guards, leading to his capture. As we'll see in this video, attempted assassinations of leaders usually do not end well for the would-be assassin, and instead of getting the standard samurai head chop execution, Goemon was instead sentenced to death by boiling, which already seems cruel enough, but as further punishment...
Okay, I had to look it up. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was Kozuki. Odin, you know what I'm saying? He's the one that got boiled alive and shit. So is this what it's based off of? For my anime watchers, you know what I'm talking about. If you watch One Piece, you know what I'm talking about.
Son was also sentenced to be boiled with him. On the day of his execution, a crowd gathered in front of the Nanzenji temple in Kyoto. Goemon and his son were placed into a large iron cauldron. It was filled with water and a fire was lit to begin the execution. As the water began to boil, Goemon desperately lifted his small child above his head in an attempt to save him. From here, there are 2 versions of what happened next, and I'll let you choose which one you want to believe.
Damn.
The first, as Goemon was struggling to keep his son out of the boiling water, onlookers, not being able to stand the sight, rushed in to rescue the boy, leading to a somewhat happy ending, as Goemon passed away seeing his son rescued and in safe hands. The second account is far more horrific. As Goemon painfully held his crying son above his head, he looked out at the crowd and realized that no one was coming to help them, and despite his best efforts, his son would ultimately perish that day as well. Upon this dreaded realization, Goemon plunged his child into the boiling water, unaliving him as quickly as possible.
No!
Then held his steaming body above his head again as a giant middle finger to Toyotomi and all the onlookers who did nothing. He stared out at the crowd and...
No. That's a lie, bro. There's no way he did some shit like that. Yo, what?
till he eventually passed away, slumping into the boiling pot of outlaw soup. Yeah, did I mention that it only gets worse from here? Number 4, Mutilation Parade. Juan de Cañamares was a Catalan peasant who in 1492 committed the biggest of no-nos, trying to assassinate King Ferdinand II of Aragon, and boy, did he pay for it. But first, some backstory. In the late 1400s, the serfs in Catalonia rebelled against their king, demanding their freedom in what's known as the War of Remences. A serf, for people who have never...
Like, to be honest, I don't think I could survive living in these times, bro. There's no way I could, bro. There's no possible way. Motherfuckers fighting with swords and shields and shit. Nigga, you getting a straight fucking sword through the chest and all types of shit. Like, hell nah, man.
Heard the term, was kind of like a slave that couldn't be bought or sold, and was instead assigned to work a plot of land no matter who owned it. The serfs, or remensa as they were known at the time,
and then even
won the first
even
war
the
of remences after a decade of fighting.
Even the killings that they do, man, look, it's a reaction. I have to pause. Even the executions and shit they do, right? It's gruesome as hell. I'm not gonna lie. Like the beheading and all this other shit. It's just wild. Like, there's no way a motherfucker, like, no. I don't know,
really
man.
Change.
People that lived back then, they were strong as shit.
Which ultimately got them the reforms they were looking for from King Ferdinand II. Kind of. They had to buy their freedom with a huge sum of money, but I guess at least that was an option. Anyways, in October of 1492, King Ferdinand and his wife Isabella, thinking everything was now cool with the serfs in Catalonia, traveled to Barcelona to conduct some official business. Things were fine for a month, and the king conducted his affairs from the royal palace. However, all this changed on December 7th, 1492. As King Ferdinand was leaving the palace, Juan de Cañamares made his way through the crowd with a small sword hidden in his cape. De Cañamares snuck up behind the king and out of nowhere violently cut him from his ear to his back.
Damn.
Immediately, a few of the king's men jumped on De Cañamares and stabbed him 3 times before the king, nearly passing out from his injury, commanded them to stop and keep him alive for questioning. See, the queen suspected that this assassination attempt was a plan the serfs and the entire city of Barcelona was in on, which immediately got people around De Cañamares to be like, nah,
this one ain't that fucked up though.
F that guy. Nobody wanted to be sentenced to the punishment this guy was about to get. In the torture/interrogation that followed, De Cañamares confessed that
this one ain't that fucked up. If I'm keeping it a buck, you feel me? He's fighting for his people. You got motherfuckers that gotta buy their freedom and shit. He gotta give them no. Yeah, you gotta go. You're not fit to be king, my nigga. You're not fit to be of high authority. You're not fit. I'm sorry. So therefore, you got to go. Especially if you're treating people like that during that time period. Now, for times like now, no. We're not doing shit like this. I do not what's the word, advocate for shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But during those times, during the hardest times like that, where you getting shanked in the chest and shit, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, you gotta go, buddy.
He heard the devil's voice every day.
You're not treating your peoples right.
The king, and if he did that, then he would become the new king. This let everyone else in the town off the hook, which I'm sure was a huge relief. For his punishment, De Cañamares was stripped naked, tied to a pole on a cart, and wheeled around town. You may be thinking, that seems fun, a parade around the city. A little embarrassing, I guess, being naked and all. But oh no, we're again talking about the punishment for a royal assassination attempt here. It gets much worse.
Damn.
At each stop around the town, the executioner brutally removed a part of De Cañamares' body. An official account of the execution translated from Spanish goes like this. First, they cut off the hand with which he hit the king. And then with burning iron tongs, they took out one of his breasts. And then they took out one of his eyes. And then they cut off his other hand. And then they took out the other eye, and then the other. The blacksmiths cut off the breast, and then the nose, and the whole body with tongs, and cut off the feet. And after all the limbs were cut off, they took out the heart through the back. One source said he died after the second stop, but they kept going anyway until the end of the wagon ride where he was stoned, and what was left of his body was burned at a stake. Things like this make me wonder why some people think time travel...
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. And that's exactly why I wouldn't be able to live during these times, bro. You feel me? You do some you do some off the wall shit like that to somebody, the most you getting is life in jail, or you're gonna get like the death punishment, nigga. And that's it. The death penalty, whatever that shit is. Nigga. And that's either the needle or that chair shit, which I don't even think they can do anymore. But it's usually gonna be probably the needle. Like, we have advanced to the point to where shit like that should not be seen by the human eye. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, would be a fun idea. Number 3, molten gold. Valerian was a Roman emperor who ruled from 253 AD to 260 AD, a title that's usually pretty sweet. Power, prestige, the whole empire at your feet. But as we all know, with great power comes great
responsibility.
Opportunities to mess up spectacularly.
Oh,
and
damn.
Valerian's mistake led to him
I was
suffering
wrong.
one of the worst deaths
I was
an emperor
wrong.
could ever imagine. During Valerian's reign, the Persians, led by King Shapur I, began attacking Roman territory. Deciding he had had enough, Valerian personally led his army into battle against the Persian army of King Shapur. Valerian thought he could march in, flash some swords, and be home in time for a nice goblet of wine.
Yeah, no,
But
nigga.
surprise, surprise, the Persians were a little tougher than expected. In the Battle of Edessa, the Persians decisively defeated Valerian's army, and he and his men were taken prisoner. As a captive, Valerian got the VIP
Excuse me,
treatment. Very intense punishment. Shapur really got off on the fact that the Emperor of Rome was now his prisoner and subjected Valerian to the most humiliating punishments. He used Valerian as his personal footstool. Every time Shapur wanted to ride his horse, he would make Valerian get on all fours and step on him to get on his horse. Talk about a career downgrade. But the humiliation didn't stop there.
So does he
Valerian was
get
also
back?
paraded around like a trophy, a living example of Persian dominance. Here's where it gets really, really not fun for Valerian. There are some differing stories on how Shapur really offed him, but the most popular story is that Valerian tried to bribe Shapur for his release by offering a mountain of gold. This gave Shapur a great idea, and he forced Valerian to swallow molten gold as punishment, which ultimately did him in. The second way people think he may have died was that Shapur had him skinned alive. Also terrible, but whatever version you want to believe, after Valerian was dead, Shapur had his skin stuffed and displayed him as a trophy animal that he would show off to guests.
Oh my
of one
goodness.
Of the most powerful empires in the world to being a janky scarecrow.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm lost.
Is one for your nightmares.
Bro, I'm lost. I don't even know what to say. Like, I really don't know what to say. What is this? Why? Like, why? Why were the deaths so gruesome? Why back then did they not feel nothing up in their heads? Like, yo, you feel me? This is kind of gruesome for me to be doing. Like, what was wrong with the humans back then?
Number 2, roasted eggplant. Okay, for this next one, I originally was going to talk about someone else, but it turns out William Wallace, you know, the guy Mel Gibson made the movie Braveheart about in the 1990s, died the exact same brutal way. Which makes me think the English really did not mess around with executions in the 1300s. This death is absolutely horrific and so much worse than the one shown at the end of the movie. For those of you who didn't watch the wildly
wonder how these
but
executioners be
inaccurate
feeling.
movie Braveheart, William Wallace was a
Like, after
Scottish
they do
knight
what they
who was
do.
a central figure in the First Scottish War for Independence in the late 13th and early 14th century. He led the Scots in many battles against the English, most notably in the Battle of Stirling Bridge, where he led a small army to a decisive victory over a much larger English force. By the early 1300s, he was declared a traitor to the English crown, which he argued didn't make sense because he never pledged his loyalty to the English king. But the king was like, "Roasted eggplant says what?" What? Exactly! In August of 1305, he was ultimately captured and sentenced to death in a way that would be considered barbaric in today's modern society. On August 23, 1305, Wallace was stripped naked and dragged through the city of London at the heels of a horse until they reached the elms at Smithfield. He was then strangled by hanging, but released gasping for air just as he was passing out. Then, I'm not making this up, his eggplant was cut off and thrown into a fire right in front of his eyes.
Oh my
He
God.
was then gutted, while again still alive.
Oh
and
my
made to watch
God.
his entrails be thrown into the fire. Finally, he was beheaded, and his body was chopped into 4 pieces and sent throughout the kingdom to be displayed as a warning. His head was dipped in tar and placed on a spike on London Bridge. Needless to say, he was not yelling, "Freedom!" like in the movie. And like I said earlier, there was another guy who was executed in the exact same...
Bruh. What, like... what? My nigga, what? How, why? Why? Why are we doing this? 1304, this is how y'all was moving? Yo, something had to have been like crazy. Like, I don't know. Something had to be mentally going wrong, like with these niggas back then, bro. 1304, bro, you moving like that. You cutting niggas, you feel me? Niggas Johnson's off and throwing it in a fire, and then their intestines, you're throwing it in a fire in their face too. Yo, y'all is wild.
Same way with the roasted eggplant and everything.
Wild.
Man, the Middle Ages were rough. Number 1, Iron Throne. This one is some literal Saw movie type stuff, so click away if you're not into that. György Doja was a decorated Hungarian soldier who led a massive peasant revolt in 1514. What initially began as the recruitment of a peasant army for a crusade against the Ottoman Empire quickly turned into an all-out revolution when these peasants collectively realized how crappy they were all being treated and changed the target of the crusade to their landlords and nobles. Talk about an Uno reverse. Yeah. Doja, being sympathetic to these common folk, found himself leading this army in what was later known as Doja's Rebellion. Armed with limited weapons, but fueled by rage, the army of peasants began burning towns, slaughtering landlords, and taking over castles and forts. Everything was all going great with this new crusade, until, well, it wasn't. The tide turned when the nobles decided they didn't really like this new crusade. Led by a powerful Hungarian noble, John Zapolya,
they got nothing but
the
gold
crushed
gear.
Doja's forces in a decisive battle. Doja was captured, and unfortunately, Zapolya was not in a forgiving mood. He wanted to make an example out of Doja, and he came up with a punishment so gruesome it makes the other stuff on our list look like a spa day.
Damn.
Doja was made to sit on a throne. That doesn't seem that bad. Oh, this throne was made of burning hot iron.
Damn.
As Doja painfully sat cooking on his new throne, a red-hot iron crown was placed on his head, and a similarly heated scepter was placed in his hand to mock his brief kingship during the revolt. This wasn't just an execution, it was a medieval roast. Literally. Next, 9 of Doja's starving followers were brought in and offered a special meal. Pieces of their roasted master. Pliers were taken out of a fire and used to rip flesh from Doja's body. The peasants were ordered to take bites of Doja from the area the pliers had cooked and torn away. Imagine being so hungry you'd eat anything, and then being ordered to eat the guy who had been your biggest hero. Any peasant who refused to eat their boss was cut into pieces on the spot, showing the other peasant rebels that the nobles meant business. Eventually, Doja succumbed to his injuries, and the peasants who ate a piece of their former hero were let go with trauma that probably lasted the rest of their life. Oh, and Zapolya? He went on to become the king of Hungary.
Oh my god. Like, yo. Yo, that's actually wild. Bro, I'm lost in words. I ain't gonna lie. Like, but anyways, y'all, yo, that's the end of the video. If y'all like the video, like, comment, subscribe, hit that post notification button if y'all want to see. Yo, hold on. Hit that post notification button if y'all want to stay tuned to the next video and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? No cap. And let me know in the comment section down below what y'all think the worst death was out of this list, to be honest. What y'all think? I think the intestine throwing in the fire and stuff like that was a little bit more worse. Like, it was a little bit worse than this. I'm not gonna lie. Like, burning on it. Yeah, but then he got 8. Man, just let me know in the comment section down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.